everyone, after he has been fully trained, will be like his teacher. Well, we've broken that down into 6 points. And the first point deals with the first article and word, that is a pupil.
And Jeff.
Yes, sir.
We got new people on here who've never been on here, so they don't know what passage of scripture we're talking from, anything.
All right. Thank you. We're in the Gospel of Luke, the 6th chapter. This is that rich chapter of Jesus teaching his disciples. He is addressing his disciples. And here we are dealing with primarily Luke chapter 6, verse 40. And the theme of these 6 principles is about being and building. And Jesus, obviously, he saw the masses through his men, and he built and equipped the men to reach the masses. And so as we are looking at the first point of this verse, which is a pupil, and obviously with that question, we've got to ask, what is a pupil? And can anyone give me the Greek word for pupil?
Thetes.
Yes. And what does that mean? Give me some other words for pupil.
Said a disciple, learner, an apprentice, understudy.
Good. There's a few more. What's another word?
It's also a special type of student.
Yes, he is. And we will address that a little bit more. We also said he was an adherent, which is a word we don't use very much, but that is someone that it's a very unique characteristic. So with that being what a pupil is, we need to ask the question, what does a pupil do? And we discussed 4 things that a pupil does. What is the first thing that a person that's a pupil, what do they do?
They memorize the words of the rabbi exactly.
Correct. Way to go, Webb. In addition to that, what were some of the verses that we tied to that activity that a pupil does?
Joshua 1:8 and Deuteronomy 6:7-9.
Good deal, Ross. That's exactly right. Deuteronomy talks about the fact that we're going to put it on our above our door. We're going to put it on the palms of our hands, on the back of our hands, on our forehead. Joshua 1:8 talks about day and night putting it into us and adhering to it. What is the second thing that a pupil, what do they do?
Learn the traditions of the rabbi.
All right. We talked in great detail of the traditions of the rabbi. That's more than just listening to his words. That's watching him. That's looking at the past. Paul said to the Thessalonians that he said, adhere to the traditions through the word and through the epistle, so that we are to learn the traditions of the teacher. Third thing that a pupil does.
Learn to imitate his rabbi.
Good. Way to go, John. That's exactly right. And what verses does that imitating the teacher, what verse did we put with that?
1 Corinthians 1.
Correct. And Philippians 4:9. Way to go, Mac. Yes. Paul told them that the things that you have seen and received and heard and practice these things. that we are to imitate the teacher. We even talked about the fact that we had to look at everything about their life, not just what their spiritual life, not just their spiritual disciplines, but every part of their life. And that's even when we talked about knowing everything about them, even to the point that the only place that a pupil had not followed his rabbi or his teacher was into the bathroom. And so finally he says, I'm going in the restroom. 'Cause I want to know all that I can know about my teacher. And so,
Hey Jeff, sorry to interrupt. I got to pause. Soup, Pookie. I think I changed that Wednesday morning. They know what I'm talking about.
well, I'm assuming, KUC, that I should have been on that Wednesday morning call. I can tell that right here.
Yeah, it wasn't intentional.
Okay.
Yeah, what he's talking about is we was in the class Wednesday morning and we just started all of a sudden hearing a bunch of water running. And we didn't know what was going on at first, and found out KUC, we was on Audible, but he done took us into the shower with him. And so it was, yeah, so we got to experience that.
Yeah, well, I'll add that to my notes, KUC.
Go ahead, man.
Hey, Jeff, can you hit them scriptures?
Shower with the rabbi. I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, every morning, 4 or 5 of us on this call pray together. And one of them shared with us recently that he's got a set of earplugs that he can go in the shower with. And we didn't realize that sometimes he's not amening the other men's praying, and that's because he's in the shower. And so, yeah, Andrew's doing that. Okay. What is the fourth thing? What is the fourth thing or duty or thing that a pupil does? We've
Hey,
already
Jeff,
yeah.
Can you hit that? What were the references for the imitators read by the Corinthians and the Philippians?
1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1, and Philippians chapter 4, verse 9. And to be honest with you, we could expand that. Even 1 Corinthians chapter 11, you could even go verses beyond that, and it reinforces the same point.
You mentioned Thessalonians. What was the passage there?
That was 2:15, and I put a question mark there. To be honest with you, if I'm going to memorize the words of the teacher exactly, we have not addressed that, but that does address the aspect of traditions. And Paul tells us to address those traditions and to hold to those traditions. So I do think the verse is a verse that would work well with that. But at the same time, that is not a verse that I think that we brought to the table. Am I correct, KUC?
Correct. But it's a good verse.
Okay. Yeah, I have realized that in this process with KUC is that, y'all, we've got to do a better job of taking notes. You cannot, I would not, it's ill-advised to use a notepad like this that flips over like this. Because first of all, you don't know where it starts and where it stops. And is it upside down? Is it on the page in the back? And so I've had to travel through this thing a bunch to get my notes right. The other thing that I think we got to learn is that when KUC is talking to us about a point, we need to put the number of that point right by the saying, because we're always trying to put things in the first point that are in the second or third or fourth or fifth point. And so I really think that we've got to learn some techniques of taking notes so that when we hear something that we want to write down, we immediately put a number to it so that we know, does it tie to the first or second or third or fourth point? That's just some thoughts I've had as I've struggled through learning how to take notes and write this up. Well, a while ago, we talked about the pupil being a special person. And we were clear to write that down. And I believe, Webb, you said it was a special person. Well, okay, what do we mean when we say special person?
You're talking about special learner?
Yes.
That he would learn in any way, whatever it took to learn.
Whatever it takes. that phrase has come up again and again and again. And usually what we have found is that in a pool of disciples, we see a lot of people that want to take their walk with Christ to another level. And they want to be in some type of study, or they want to learn more, they want to memorize more. But there's only a few that you find that you can characterize with that term. They'll do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. One of the illustrations that we had is that the guy that's a special learner or a special person, not only does he do whatever it takes, but he's the one that gets the books. And the illustration is when Herb passed away, there was those that said, hey man, what about the books? We got to have the books. We got to get the books. And we talked about, and even last week, even when we were not on this topic, we talked about even the books that Keusa used to carry around with him, and the training that it took to learn how to use the books. And so any other thoughts about this first point on a pupil? What is a pupil?
Jeff, what was that? Going back up to memorize, it was two scriptures, Joshua 1:8 and Deuteronomy. What was the reference?
Deuteronomy 6, verses 7 through 9.
Okay, thank you.
And which
Jeff, I've got one or two things in addition.
Okay.
And that was that it was the word pupil or disciple was a very significant word in the culture of that day. His learning was always expandable. In other words, he never stopped with his learning process. And I also have here that the most significant relationship of the day in that culture was the rabbi to his pupil.
Good work. Well, that was, in fact, Keusa spent some time with us on the learning pattern during that day. If you remember, I think sometimes the Pharisees of the day or the rabbis of the day, we don't give them a whole lot of credit because they were bashed pretty hard in the Gospels. But if we recognize that, first of all, the Israelite people have been in captivity so much coming into the first century that they were losing their identity as Jewish people. And the Pharisees were trying to hold on to some kind of truth. And so that's where they took this oral Torah and made it apart. And so when it says memorizing the words of the teacher exactly, you got to realize that most of these pupils are not well read to start with. Most of them are not in the lineage of a Levi. Most of these are common folk that realize and that they want to know more of God. And so they were trying to stay underneath their rabbi, and their rabbi judged on how he gave that information, on how well they took the information initially. So for you to get to a higher level of learning as a pupil, you had to prove yourself. Keusa, am I far off there?
That's good. So the school is what he's talking about. And there were 3 levels of schools that special type of pupil went through. First was Bet Sefer. Second was Bet Talmud. Bet Sefer means Sefer is the book, so the house of book. Talmud, learner, house of learning. And then Bet Midrash, house of study. That's where the serious students were invited, and that's what Jeff is referring to now. Is you had to show some type of higher aptitude of learning while you were in Bet Talmud before you were invited to Bet Midrash. And most of the people in Bet Talmud, is where those rabbis saw exceptional students that they would ask to follow them, or those exceptional students would identify a rabbi and ask the rabbi if they can follow him. So that's where he's referring to.
You mind stating those three schools? I got house of book, house of learning, and house of study. What was the Hebrew words?
BEIT or BET, Bet Sefer. SAFER.
Okay.
All right. Bet Talmud, BEIT or BET, TALMUD. And Bet Midrash, MIDRASH. So Midrash in Hebrew would be similar or parallel to what we would say in English when we talk about hermeneutics, methods of study. So Midrash was the Jewish method or the rabbinic method of study.
Thank you.
You go,
Hey,
Jeff.
on number 3 on the jobs of a disciple, would number 3, I can't remember, but would number 3 also include reproduce disciples?
Yes, raising up disciples was number 4.
Oh, it's number 4. Okay.
Yeah.
My fault. Thank you.
Casey, can I share my screen? Well, no, never mind. I can't share my screen because I got it on my iPad, not on the computer. I was just, I think that you gotta, what Casey said, I've never done it in my whole life until now. And that is rewriting your notes. I've always taken notes and I got them all jumped up, but you really need to rewrite your notes. And when he told me he wrote his notes over and over, I'm just now getting, I'm in my, I'm ready for Medicare and I'm just now figuring out how to do this.
You funny.
Don't feel bad, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff, when I graduated from law school, I swore I would never take another note. Okay.
Your books in the river.
And I did that for about, well, a number of years. Let me just put it that until about 3 or 4 years ago, I kept my oath.
Eating those words now, though, Hermione.
Say again?
You're eating those words now, though, right?
Oh boy, I'm taking them, buddy.
Mac, we might need to try eating our notes to see if that helps.
Try anything, right? Oh.
Well, I try to keep other things. There are many, many things that have been said over the last 11 weeks as we covered this. And so the things that are not mentioned here are mentioned, but they need to stay within the points. And whoever has the next point, which is not above, some of these points that you probably have in your list probably go in that second point.
Well, good job, Jeff. Does anybody have any questions for Jeff or comments for Jeff?
Jeff, can you repeat the verses for point 2? Learn traditions of the rabbi. What were the verses on that one?
Well, really, this was a new verse that we added, and that was 2 Thessalonians 2:15, where Paul is admonishing them to hold to the traditions of the word and the epistle that had been given to them. Now you can also go to the other place that term traditions Paul uses is in Galatians, where he is describing the traditions that he followed under as he was talking a little of his own autobiography.
Any,
What's that reference in Galatians?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask that, and I didn't put it.
What did you say, Bill?
I was going to say any particular verse in Galatians. I was asking a
Okay.
question.
Okay. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I don't have a particular verse in Galatians right now. I did want to make a couple of comments and highlights. As you guys noticed, you know, when and Soup and I talked about this, I think a couple of weeks ago. You know, I've learned to be very comfortable with him, and in the past, Brother Herb, we would say interrupting. You know, when they've asked you to teach, but I don't look at it as an interruption. Is because, you know, whatever I was teaching, I learned it from them. So if they're going to add comments, insight, or clarifications, you know, I'm totally comfortable with that. And I've learned to accept that, and it kind of gravitated in me and Soup being able to tag team teach. You know, I think that's where that started from, or that's how it starts. So I say this, Jeff, because I want us to be comfortable with you know, someone adding clarifications. You did a good job, and sometimes, you know, you were the line that we just saw on Pupil's screen. You know, it takes the line to start off first. You know, after seeing it taught, you did a good job. But I guarantee if you cycle through and don't stop retaking your notes, watch how you expand and build on this lesson and become more comfortable and confident. I call it the 3 C's: confidence, competence, and courage. So you started with courage today, but your competence is going to build, and that's eventually going to build your confidence. And so then it again builds your confidence again, and then you just continue to display your courage. But I do want to emphasize something. If I'm teaching this to a group of people for the first time, there's something I want to make sure that they're clear on this special type of learner. And I would spend more time around Ross. How did you pronounce Master T's? Because I've been pronouncing it wrong all my spiritual journey. All right, but I heard how you pronounce it, and it sounded like you got it correct.
I'm not sure about that, but I said Mathetes, but
Hey, I like it. Mathetes. I think you're right. I think you're exactly right.
How do you spell it?
Mathete.
Yes. S at the end.
Mathetes.
Yes.
I have played it in Google 20 times to try to get that. So I've learned that, and Manthano, which is derivative of that, of a disciple.
that's a verb that noun
Yes,
comes
right.
from.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I was just getting ready to get back to. So Mathetes. Say it one more time for me, Ross.
Mathetes.
Yeah, Mathetes. I think I'm gonna adopt that pronunciation moving forward. All right, Mathetes. So I would, you know, start off strong, patient, and clear, just making sure whoever the audience is understands that, because once again, what's the outline point title? Point number 1 title?
A pupil.
Yeah, a pupil. So you want to clarify what a pupil is. If that's the title, the last thing you want to do is your audience to walk away and not know what a pupil is in this context. So that's kind of what I focus. I know we had a lot of conversations and illustrations around it, but the first thing I would want to do is clarify the meaning, you know. And so you did an excellent job of asking those questions, but I also would make one more suggestion as we're learning this and presenting. You'll get to the point where you have a group of guys. I call it cultivating in this lesson. That's what we've been doing. It wasn't just presented, but you know, we've been able to walk through it, and everybody's being cultivated in the lesson, right? That's where you become a part of what you become what you learn at that moment. But I would, at this moment, I would first present it clearly with clarification, and then I would cultivate. So that's what I would do first. If I'm doing this, so anything I've learned from Soup and Heard, the first thing I did, I learned how to present it first. That helps me get my nerves out of the way. That helps me say the words of the rabbi exactly. And then as I learn to present it, I come back, present it again, and then I learn to cultivate, around the lesson. So going back to that, point
Yeah.
of it is this.
Yeah,
Matthew-
Casey, what you're really telling me is that since you would desire us as we go through this is to teach it as though nobody in this room has heard it as of yet.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I got you.
And that's actually the hard thing to do because all the guys heard it. So
Yeah.
what happens internally, you're trying to please them. And it's making you not as good of a teacher as you are. Because you're like, okay, everybody heard this. I don't want to bore them. They know this point. You got to block that out. I learned that the hard way. And I'm talking through from experience, but I block it out and I just get the facts together as if I hadn't heard it and as if they hadn't heard it. So yeah. And you
That's
watch how
good.
that's going to help you with people who hadn't heard. So yeah.
That's good,
Yeah.
Casey. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know what? I heard you also talk about some C's there. I don't know if that's under this topic or not. Confident,
Confidence and courage.
and courage. And I think I've heard Soup say from time to time, competitive.
Okay. Yeah. We can throw that one as the fourth one.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah. So if it's okay, I wanna drill down for clarification. I want to go back to Metatis, and I want us to walk through this so we can be clear. So once again, you start out excellent job, but you want to make sure if they didn't give you all of the words to the meaning of Metatis, you want to make sure you get them out there. And so you were asking, what does a disciple mean? The word metatis is the pupil or disciple. And what are some words that we use for disciple? We got learner. We got pupil. We also have apprentice. We have an intern and an understudy and an adherent. So you want to make sure that's stated. So those are 6 nouns that this word metatis expounds or explains in our English vocabulary. All right. The next thing I would do is transition surely and smoothly to the background, like Ross and you just mentioned. So where did these words originate? There's an etymology of every word. The word origin of the noun came from the verb. And the verb or the etymology or word origin is menthano. So if I'm going to make sure everybody understands this special type of learner with vocabulary words, I want to move, smoothly and surely to the background. If it's a background, some words may already be at their, I guess you can say origin, but this word is not. That's right. And it's kind of like tracing out the truth because we talked about utilizing our study tools. So if we use, and that's all I've done, is utilize, and I watch, Herb and Soup do it. And so I go back to the study tool to trace out what I was taught or what I'm learning. And the study tool takes me to 4101, I think that's Metatis or Metatis.
3129.
3129, sorry. I'm thinking about Pistuo. Yeah. But 3129, and then we dig deep. It kind of gives you another origin of menthano. And so menthano means to learn in any way it takes to understand.
Yeah, by use and practice.
Yeah.
Learn by use and practice.
Yeah. So we take that and say a disciple is one who all those other words were created to explain a person or a type of person who would learn in any way it takes to understand. All right. So yeah. So that's what we want to remember. And we want to kind of make sure we drill that out. And then we go back and think about it. There was a question I asked. Out of all of the nouns of a disciple, a learner, a pupil, an intern, an apprentice, an understudy, an adherent, 7 words, which one of those words in our English language can act as a noun and a verb? You remember that one, Jeff?
Yeah. Well, if a disciple,
Learner.
we can, a learner or a disciple, we can disciple men and we can be a disciple.
Yeah. Yeah. But the word disciple, the way you use it in a sentence, it only represents a noun. But the word learn or learner,
Right.
right? You know, and so that acts as a verb. And so it really kind of points back, and that's an illustration that points back to how this type of learner is centered around action. And the main action of this disciple is learning. And so it's the goal, the identity of this learner is centered around an institution of learning. And he learns in any way it takes. And that's when we start thinking about all the other concepts. So if I would teach this anywhere, that point I would always make sure I get it across, and then I would begin to expound with everything else. So great job.
Can I
just
ask
kinda
one
keep that in
question?
mind. Uh-huh.
When I broke down the special person, the one that does whatever it takes, and the one that would even keep the books, should that be brought back to that same verb area? Instead of the way I did is I brought it back at the end and said, let's break out this special learner or this special person. Should it have been as we describe both the noun and now the verb? Should that be where the special person description goes into detail instead of the way I did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would get that point across first, and then break down what you talked about
Okay.
about the special type of person. Yeah, because that's the basic information. Then you bringing in illustrations, clarity, and more explanations. But other than that, so that's kind of my thoughts, my suggestions. I don't know if anybody else had anything else, but excellent job. Excellent.
Man, can you hit them 7 words one more time?
All right. Disciple, pupil, a learner, apprentice, an intern, an understudy, adherent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What was the last one, KUC?
Adherent. ADHERENT.
Thank you.
Soup, I'm getting better with my spelling. Getting some practice in.
And if y'all read my notes, you need the translator for my spellings.
If you rewrite your notes, you can get your spelling right.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Something y'all might find interesting along those lines is when I was learning French, I had a hard time learning how to explain discipleship to other people in our church because they don't really use the word disciple very much, and there's no verb for discipleship.
Seep.
And so
they use deceit in French.
Yeah,
is that right?
For the noun, for disciple, they do have the word disciple, but they don't really use. There's not really a verb that they use, so they will strictly say make a disciple, or they'll talk about it and they'll call it Christian apprenticeship. And I thought that correlated to kind of this idea, what we're talking about. It's learning to be a disciple.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good. Thanks, Ross.
Yeah.
All right,
All right.
folks. We generally have a hard stop at 7 o'clock, meaning that if folks got to go, they need to run. But why don't we do this? Anybody got one more question? That's fine. Then let's go ahead and close her out here this morning. I might have some pancakes I got to eat in a bit.
We're gonna meet next week, Wayne? Do we meet next week?
I think not. I think that's the fourth week, fourth Friday. So that's a Friday. We take off.
Okay,
So is that right, Sue?
Yes, sir. We take fourth Fridays off. So if it's okay with Keusi and brother Jeff, you come back and be ready to go again with the format that Keusi gave it, as if nobody else has heard this.
I got you.
All right.
I got you. I can tell that once you get in the number one lane, you it's not easy to get out of that lane.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And then who's got the next point? We had 3 of them lined up. So we had number 1, number 2, and number 3. So who's got number 2?
I got number 2. I should say there's a small chance I can't be here 2 weeks from now, but I'll try to make sure to be here. But I'll let y'all know in advance if I can't.
Yeah, please
All
do.
right. Well, who knows you will be here next week?
You mean 2 weeks from now?
No, yeah, 2 weeks from now. Who knows you will be here?
Let me interpret. Let me interpret for Sue. He's not talking about you, Ross. He's talking about everybody. Anybody know they will be here. You as in you, other than Ross.
Unfortunately, I'm on an airplane that Friday morning coming back from Nashville.
Okay. It's a whole bunch of folks on this line right now.
Oh, I'll be on here.
Who is that?
Ron.
Yeah, I plan to.
Okay. But Ron, you hadn't been through it enough.
Oh, I thought you meant in attendance. My bad.
No, we need somebody to substitute for Ross. We need a DH.
Oh.
We need a DH. We need a pinch hitter.
I have.
Come on, step it up.
Hey,
Step
I
it up.
can do it. I don't have any problem with doing it, but I'm more than happy to yield to whoever wants to do it.
No, Judge, you got number 2. All right.
Number 2.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So, and if Ross comes on, y'all can team teach it or whatever. All right. All right. All right. So number 3, who had number 3?
You'll lead, Ross.
I'll be there.
Well, both of y'all need to be ready to do it as if the other one wasn't going to be there. Now, who's got number 3?
I do.
All right. So be ready. And just y'all be ready. We may get to you, we may not, but be ready. And teach it as if nobody here has ever heard it.
Gotcha. I understand.
Is that cool, Kels?
Excellent. Sounds great.
All right.
Hey, let me say this. There's some of you on here I don't think are on that group me. If you will text me, I'll give you my text number. And if you just tell me you want to be on it, I'll do that. That way you'll be informed on what the group is doing. It's not a share time, but it's a time to get out information about the group. So my text number, telephone number is 318-243-4763. 318-243-4763. And I'd be great because then we can chat too. I do want to encourage you guys to connect with each other as as you can to just get to know one another better. So Soup, I tend to back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Judge. And where are these recordings? What platform are these recordings on? I know Ross got them on some YouTube channel somewhere or something, and then they're also in GroupMe or something. So where are these recordings?
Videos are on our YouTube channel. And I know Andrew's got audio if people need audio.
Okay, so they're out there. And so Brother Herb used to say, if we show you one corner and you're not seeking the other three, you're not going to do well at this anyway.
So Ross, you're posting those to the GroupMe account, but if a guy's not on GroupMe, if he's not on that platform, can he access the YouTube? And
Yeah.
if so, how does he do that?
Well, I can share the link real quick, but also as I've reviewed some of the videos and I've tried in the description of the video to summarize some of the content. So like if you're looking to go back and review 0.5, you should be able to look at the descriptions and see, okay, this one's on 0.5. It's been real helpful for me to review some stuff. So I can post the link to the channel.
Would you do that? That'd be real helpful. I generally get it from going to GroupMe, but yeah.
I like to say,
Okay, so Ron, you can use that to catch up on some stuff.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you being here, man. Appreciate you being here.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
indeed.
Thank you.
Okay, so you putting those videos you showed on GroupMe, is that where you're gonna put the link?
I think he put it in the chat, didn't he?
Chat, okay,
Okay, so you need to copy and paste it.
okay.
Okay, so did you hear all that, Paul?
And Ron and Paul, I just posted the YouTube channel link in the chat.
Yeah, I got it.
Not in the chat?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, very good, very good. Well, all right, y'all. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Y'all have a great weekend. And y'all tell folks about Jesus as God give the opportunity. And have your antennas up and take advantage of those opportunities he runs by us that he set up from before the foundation of the world. God bless y'all. Appreciate you. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Have a blessed day, everyone.
Everybody.
We are in recess.